Let me ask you, as a guy who, had spent 15 years in the CIA trying to go after bad guys and help people color inside the lines, what you make of this Paul Pelosi news, that 911 call, Mike.
Yeah. That I was listening to you talking with Michael Knowles earlier, and I think you raised a really important point, which is that if you think like we would, right? If you're somebody who follows politics, if you're somebody who follows the news, right? Because that's part of your makeup, then yes, the 911 operator sounds completely ignorant and completely, incompetent. But if you then put yourself in the place of a 911 operator who's just doing a job, right? And going home and not watching news and not caring about news because maybe they're a single parent, whatever it is. So I think when you said maybe the operator just had no idea who Pelosi is, and then certainly when he mentioned the Capitol Police, that wouldn't ring any bells. I think it puts it into some context that is maybe a little bit easier to understand.
So I'm being too hard by calling her a moron because I'm like, do you need police? He's telling her in every way he can, yes, I need police. Like, she just wasn't getting it, Mike.
Well, but so I refrain. I hold judgment on whether she's a moron or not. But I have seen a real variety of abilities when we're talking about law enforcement, and we're talking about the intel community, and we're talking about government, and we're talking about politics. They're all over the map when it comes to their abilities, their training. And that's part of the problem, which is, what we always talk about when we talk about law enforcement. How can they do their job better? You know what? You need more and consistent and thorough training. And that includes somebody like a 911 operator who's really at the pointy edge of the spear when it comes to conflicts.
When this guy, he says, he's looking for my wife, Nancy Pelosi. He's waiting. I told him she won't be home for days, but he wants to wait. And then says, is Capitol Police around? They're usually here protecting my wife. No, this is San Francisco police. Then he says to the assailant, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? And says, he thinks everything's good. I've got a problem. And she responds, okay, call us back if you change your mind. Come on. Yeah. It's indefensible.
Yeah. No, you can't. I don't disagree with the fact that it sounds really bad. I'm just saying that I'm not surprised sometimes when I see a level of incompetency because it's based on a lack of knowledge or training. And I think that's what we're looking at here. But you can imagine Pelosi, and I think Michael Knowles mentioned it, says he kept his composure in not just saying, what the hell? What do I have to say to you to get you to respond properly? And,
can you imagine?
And then you have to wonder, what was the response? What was advised to those responding officers who showed up on the doorstep, right? What was their brief before they showed up based on that call and based on the 911 operator's interpretation of that call, right? So,
but I'm just going to guess. I am going to guess that your average cop who opens the door, and they should have known that it was Paul and Nancy Pelosi's house. If they didn't, there was another system failure. And you see the Speaker of the House, her husband, standing there with an assailant who's holding a hammer. It's not a good time for chit chat. It's not the time.
No. And they said, and look, they have to be able to assess the situation. I don't want to sound like I'm apologizing for every step, because there was clearly a sort of a cascading effect here of mistakes, of errors, right? And it actually started with the U.S. Capitol Police surveillance feed, right? That is in Washington, D.C., because they do have a surveillance feed on the Pelosi home. But it's one of many monitors within the complex there that they have to watch. And so until those police cars showed up with the lights flashing, and it suddenly catches your attention because you're looking at banks of dozens of other monitors. So that's the first problem. Well, then it kind of keeps going from there. But with the police showing up, you can tick off in a handful of seconds the moment from the time that they spotted the hammer, right, to the time they said drop the hammer, to the actual attack. And there's a moment of assessment. They're not just going to knock the door down and charge at Paul Pelosi and this individual, right? That's a movie thing. So they have to be able to do a spot assessment very quickly. Unfortunately, the perp was able to grab the hammer in that short period of time. Again, it doesn't excuse some of the other mistakes that took place, but I am saying that when the police rock up on a situation, it's a lot more complex than sometimes TV and film make it out to be.
No, I appreciate that. And like, I've never been a cop. What do I know? I've practiced law and I've been a journalist. And so it's easy for me to, pass judgment from my cheap seat over here. It's just to me, in my layperson's eyes, it looks rather shocking knowing what they knew. The fact that like that attack did not have to happen. Can we just look at it one more time? I just want to see that the video of the cops showing up at the door to see, because to me, it seemed like an eternity to when the amount of time that they had to get that hammer out of the guy's hand. But the video, I'm talking to my team now, the video of the cops showing up at the door, not the 911 thing.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope.
Hey.
What is going on right
I'm
now?
not getting an answer on call.
Bro, oh shit.
There you go. It's off. Mike, I may be reading into it. The officer from his voice sounds kind of young. It kind of tells you it's not an older guy. And that could mean not that much experience. I don't know, but
yeah. Again, you've got a problem with consistency of training, throughout the law enforcement across the country, right? And they deserve more in terms of resource. I've never been one to say, pull back funds from the police, because look, if you want better police, you got to train them better, right? That's just the reality of it. You have to be consistent in that training. But I would say the bigger mistakes here, and they've done a hot wash on this thing, and they do what's called a gap analysis in terms of the security that takes place here. And the real critical mistakes were, the perimeter security that existed around Pelosi's home was clearly inadequate. The coverage of surveillance handled by the U.S. Capitol Police, that obviously failed. Because they could have identified this problem if they'd been monitoring properly the home in real time. And then that line of communication, right, between the 911 operator, the Capitol Police, the local police that were responding, there was a lack of understanding as to what they were going to rock up on when they knocked on that door. So those are the real points of problem here when you're evaluating something like this.
is your business still using spreadsheets and emails to manage important sales commission? Why? Is your support and operations staff stretched thin and stressed out from dealing with all this unnecessary paperwork? Why? Are your salespeople constantly trying to piece together the puzzle for what they're getting paid on and what's potentially missing? That's annoying. This is where ClearComp comes in to make your life easier. ClearComp is a one-stop shop for your business to manage sales commission documentation like commission plan info, product info, and facts. It's basically a sales operations and sales enablement dream platform. ClearComp works seamlessly and securely with your existing software applications for your billing, CRM, HR, you get the picture. Your sales team is going to perform their best with real-time results and earnings using ClearComp's interactive boards like this one. And your operations team will be able to make commission plan adjustments with just a few clicks. So please, get this done already, right? Stop putting it off. Modernize your sales organization. Improve your business today by visiting clearcomp.com. That's ClearComp.com. Book a demo and tell them I sent you. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.